Hello and welcome to the Post2Post podcast. This is podcast number 94 on December 29th, 2019, the last podcast of this decade.
Last podcast?
The last podcast that I will host because moving into 2020, Jason is going to be the official host of this podcast, and Jason joins me here today. Welcome, Jason.
We're going to try to take a little bit of workload off you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Just a little bit less that you have to do.
Also, I believe we'll be filming in 4K.
Yes, which this video may or may not be.
We may or may not be. Depends.
We accidentally forgot to flip it back to regular, so we'll see what he does in
Exactly. Is it Sunday? Because I am totally out of whack when it comes to days. I've been off work for 5 days now over in Prince Edward Island, and I just get back to Fredericton today, and
everything's all...
If you told me it was Tuesday, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
See,
sure.
I worked Monday, Tuesday, had Wednesday, Thursday off, and then worked Friday, so I'm kind of the same way too. Our garbage day is Tuesday. Not that this relates to
garbage day for the win.
So Tuesday, I thought it was Friday for some reason. In my head, I was like, why would I put my I even seen the neighbors. I think the garbage out in the streets. Why would they have their garbage out in the street on a Friday? Like, that's kind of early. And then I got home and I was like, it's not Friday, it's friggin' Tuesday. So anyway, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's been a wild week. It's been a good week though. I'm sure we haven't talked in probably almost a week, I guess.
Yep.
I'm sure you visited lots with family, and so did I. And did you have a good Christmas?
I had an alright Christmas. You traveled back to PEI. I'm sure most people are aware of that, but why don't you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I went back on Christmas Eve and just spent time with family. I really didn't do much. Just kind of hung out with mom and dad and drove around, looked at some Christmas lights.
Yep.
Last night I got to hang out with Chris and Aubrey and that whole gang. That was pretty awesome. I played, I think it was a game called Guess That Meme or something about memes. It was basically, it's kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but you have a meme and you show everyone the meme, and then everyone has cards with pre-written scripts or sayings or whatever, and then they try and pick the best.
So are these memes created by the game, or are these actual memes that are online?
These are actual memes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun game, and there's a not safe for work version, so we were playing that.
I was gonna say, yep.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, other than that, just kind of relaxed, watched a couple movies, watched that Ad Estrada with Brad Pitt. Mm-hmm. Hated it.
Really?
One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Ouch.
Oh, it's terrible. What else did I do? I got a new rack for my jerseys.
Right on.
So I put that together like an hour ago. So that's pretty cool. I'll probably show that in a video coming up soon. Yeah, other than that, I didn't really... Oh, Dad and I filmed a Mail Time episode, so that's coming out pretty soon. We filmed it with his camera. Pretty weak.
So other than that, not
compared
much
to this one.
Not much swag for Christmas then.
No, I didn't get much. Didn't ask for much.
Zero swag.
Zero swag.
Zero swag.
Swag isn't like you literally didn't get anything.
Well, mom and dad got us a couple things, but normally my sister lives across the street now. We normally give gifts for them, like family. We give gifts, and mom and dad would give gifts and stuff. But we decided this year that we weren't going to do any of that, so we hosted turkey dinner here. I bought a 21.6 pound turkey. It was way overkill. We only ate half of it, so I got half of a turkey at my fridge. It's freaking amazing, though.
Really?
I got turkey sandwiches for days.
Wow.
But yeah, we got some stuff, big bills, we got some big bills we got to pay coming up this year for stuff me and my wife are going to be trying. Yes. So we just said, hey, we got this coming up. It's going to be a lot of money. Let's not do that. Let's just have a family Christmas, and it was actually kind of pro.
Very mature decision.
I hate getting old, man. Getting old sucks.
And that's kind of the thing, too. I mean, Christmas is kind of any day I want it to be. If I want something, I'll just kind of go buy it.
See, I'm the same way. Like today, Christmas was for me. I need a new hard drive for the computer upstairs. Went to Best Buy, bought it. Like, there's my Christmas gift. Just bought it for myself.
Exactly.
Boxing Day sale, so.
And then you have to spend money on things that you need, like a snowblower or whatever. Like,
did that too a couple months ago.
That's the bad part about being an adult. But
yeah,
we had a pretty big turkey too, and I absolutely destroyed.
Did you?
There's none left. There was none left on Boxing Day, and we ate it on
really?
Christmas. Like, that's how much turkey I ate. And just turkey. Like, the next day, an entire plate of turkey and gravy.
Ooh.
Nothing else, just turkey.
And turkey poops.
Turkey poops.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't. No way.
Turkey poops? Man, you owned it then.
No, my body's used to that chicken and
really?
turkey.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
I don't know what turkey poops are, but
turkey poops are probably not the greatest thing, but I didn't have any either, so we're ahead of the game.
That's right. Amazing. Here's to 2020.
So Christmas was good, mostly uneventful, just hung with family, same as you. For everyone out there, hope you guys had a good Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, and if you didn't, then hope you did something that was enjoyable.
Yeah. I released a video, or I had a bunch of videos to pre-recorded and scheduled to release, and a contest video got released on Christmas Day. And it was cool reading through the comments on that video because everyone told me what they got for Christmas.
Yeah.
Man, people got some swag.
And we had a chat created on our Discord server too for holiday swag, or holiday hauls or whatever, and people were posting in there. It's just like,
that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
If you're not a part of our Discord, and if you do have a Discord, or if you know what it is, there's a link down in the description and on YouTube. It'd be awesome if you could join. If you don't know what Discord is, it's basically like a chat server.
It's a chat program, yeah.
And we have a lot of fun on there because we do predictions. Thanks to Jason and his bot, we all make predictions on who we think is going to win each game every night, and points are tallied, and then there's leaderboards and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
But a lot of holiday hauls in the holiday haul channel.
Yeah, there was a lot of chat in that channel, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I literally have done zero research for this podcast.
Yeah, this one's on me, so
I've watched one game of hockey in the past week.
I have a bunch of topics written down, so Neil actually hasn't seen these yet.
No.
He just sat down, we turned the camera on, so we're just going to go through some of them or all of them or whatever. So I figure we start with the World Juniors since that's what's been going on the last couple of days.
Yes. That is the one game I did watch, the Canada
It's
versus
very
USA.
interesting that the entire set of teams in Group B, so Russia, United States, Czech Republic, Germany, Canada, they're all 1-1. That's never happened before since they switched this to this format. So it's just interesting.
Man, Canada's lost twice?
Canada has only lost once.
What?
Oh, that's a typo. It should be 1.
Oh.
It should be 1-1. Ignore that.
Because they lost to Russia.
They lost to Russia and they beat the United States.
Right.
They got their butts whooped by Russia. So
I did not see that game.
I want to start with that, even though you haven't seen that.
All right,
that was a butt whooping if I've ever seen one.
I don't even know the score. That's how...
6-0.
6-0?
Shutout. Completely. Pulled the goalie after 4. It was a mercy pull. The second guy let in 2 goals. So now there's talk about whether they should try the third guy out or go back to the first. Because the first guy, and I'm sorry I don't have his name here right here now, he was the best goalie in the OHL this year by a mile, according to the analysts. So I don't know if it was just an off night, but there was no fight back from the Canadians. Like when they got down, you think like, hey, we're going to push back. Man, Russia manhandled them. It was like if you're a fan of Russia or an anti-fan of Canada, it was a great game to watch Russia play. They were all over the Canadians. It was, from the Canadian point of view, it was, I don't know if it was embarrassing, but there was no pushback at all when they needed it.
That's interesting. Russia's one of those teams, juniors, men's, whatever. Like when they turn it on, you basically you can't stop them. Like that's how talented they are. So disappointing that Canada didn't even try, by the sounds of it. But
well, I mean, it's one of those games where I don't know if they're not trying, but it just seems like the Russians were just a step ahead of them the entire game, and it was obvious. Like the game was over for. Probably by 3-0, even maybe by 2-0. It just didn't look like Canada had a chance.
Did they look tired, or was it just
no,
lack of execution?
It just there was no, I don't know what the word is. There was no oomph. There was no
desire.
There was no there was no like. I think desire is probably a good word.
Lack
for
of
it.
passion.
Like I'm not sure what it was. Like once they were down, it looked like they knew they were defeated and they weren't coming back, which is not a good trait to have as a hockey player.
So they just played the rest of the game kind of deflated, just to kind of get it over with.
Yeah. And, going into the tournament, they said, like, if you read all the analysts' predictions, most people had the United States to win the whole thing. And Canada wasn't even in the top 3 for most people's because their team is younger this year than normal, which, I was like, all right, I'll buy into that. And then they played the American game on Boxing Day, 6-4. That was a great game.
It was a great game. And, man, that even though Canada won, that USA team has some talent on it. It's scary.
Yep. So... I don't know. So after the United States game, I was like, oh, well, maybe this Canadian team's going to be pretty good. And then they played Russia and got their, like, I don't know where they are now. Like,
so when's the next game?
And goal differentials matter.
Yeah, I see that on here.
So there's people playing today. I'm not sure what team. So today and tomorrow, I think there's games going on. So by the time you listen to this, if you listen to this a couple days from when we're recording this on Sunday, then maybe this information's not out of date now. So, but we can only talk about what we have now. So it's interesting. I love the juniors. I think it's a great tournament.
It is. Also the Spengler Cup too. I really enjoy watching that. I know most people don't, but I mean it's in the Davos Arena, the church of hockey arenas. And man, I don't even care who's playing those games. Just to see a game in that arena is pretty outstanding. And if you have not looked at pictures of the Davos Arena, please do that now. It's amazing.
So what do you think of the Sweden World Junior team? So this is the group stage right now. This is where they kind of like determine who's going to move on and then do their little playoff. Sweden hasn't lost a game in 50 straight games, going back to 2006.
What do you mean they haven't lost a game?
In the group stage, so like in the prelims, they have not lost a game in 13 years.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Like, it's like
some
people are saying like they need to lose.
Yeah, they need to lose
to get the pressure off them because they always win and then they lose out in the later rounds.
Yeah.
So they need to get like that. It's kind of weird. Like you need to get the monkey of winning all the time off your back so that you don't have the pressure of trying to keep this streak alive. I think it's a cool streak, man. 13 years.
It's impressive. Like honestly, that'll never be broken.
And it's junior, so these are like under 20s, I believe, is the age.
Yeah.
So 13 years, like that's a lot of different kids coming through your program and still not losing in the prelim rounds.
Think about the Swedish superstars who would have played 13 years ago when that streak started.
Yeah.
They're probably they are on their back end of their careers in the NHL.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is ridiculous, really. Yeah. That's impressive.
So there hasn't really been anything that was too surprising to me so far, other than the Czech Republic beating Russia on the opening night.
Oh, I did watch some of that game.
That was a pretty big upset, I thought, because I expected Russia just to blow the doors off.
That was a good game, too, to watch, from what I've seen. But, I noticed you have down here, and maybe you were saving it for later, but the helmet drama.
Okay, yes.
I did see that.
Okay, that gave me vibes of Buddy taking a silver medal and throwing it. And so let's talk about it first. So Barrett Hayton, who's the captain of the Canadian team, they got their butts whooped 6-0. So at the end of every international game in the World Juniors, they stand up and the team that won gets their anthem played, and they stay on the blue lines just like they do at the start of the game. So Barrett didn't take his helmet off for the anthem, which to me is a total douchebag move.
It was intentional.
Like he was mad that he lost and he wasn't going to take his helmet off. Yeah. And so at the end of the anthem, one of the players, I don't know if it was the captain or...
I think it was the captain.
The Russians, yeah. He skated to the middle of the ice to talk to the ref saying, hey, this guy didn't take his helmet. And you're supposed to take your helmet off. Yeah. It's not like a courtesy. You're supposed to do that. So then they go through the handshake line, and the captain's like, no, I'm not shaking your hand. And the three guys following him are the same way. So that's when the analysts started realizing, because I don't think they were paying too much attention during the anthem that the guys had. So they went back and looked at the tape and said, oh, well, this guy never had his helmet off. So... I'm going to read the statement they put out. I don't know if you've seen it. Did you see the statement?
Statement from who?
So the Barrett Hayton put a statement out in Hockey Canada.
Oh, did he really?
So this went out on Twitter probably a couple hours after the game. I'm going to read it, and then we'll share our comments on the situation after. So this is from Barrett Hayton, and I'm going to put this in quotes because there's no way this is the player talking. This is PR.
Oh, really?
People like
buttering it up.
It is. I'm going to read it, but it's going to be exactly what you expect it to be. Okay. So listen to this. So here's the quote. Begin quote. I'm sorry for leaving my helmet on for the Russian anthem following today's game, and I apologize to the Russian team and its fans. As a leader on this team, I was trying to process the game and evaluate how we can regroup. I was lost in the moment. The Russians played a great game tonight, and my actions were not intended to be disrespectful. My mistakes should not detract from their win. I owe it to my team and all Canadians to be better. Now, number one. Okay, like obviously this is speculation on my part, but there is no way you're leaving your helmet on because you're trying to think of how you and your team can regroup after this brutal loss. To me, this is you got your butt whooped and you're pissed. And I'm going to wear my helmet just in spite because I'm angry right now.
I am very surprised that they took that approach, or he took that approach. Whether he said it or whether someone else wrote it for him, the fact that they went that way and tried to play it off like it was not intentional is disappointing.
This was me looking out for my team on how we can be better for next game during an anthem when all my teammates beside me have their like I'm sorry, but nobody is that focused where everything around, like they start playing the anthem and everything's just black and you're just 100% in yourself focusing on how we can regroup.
Yeah.
Like this is a kid, right?
And also like that's the thing. He's a kid, like, so his emotions are not as mature as the majority of professional hockey players.
And we can't expect them to be either.
I forgive him.
Yeah.
Same way that I forgave Lise Anderson for throwing his medal in.
Would you have rather they just came out, sorry, my emotions got to the best of me?
100%.
I shouldn't have done that.
Absolutely.
Like, this is a spin to try to make it into something that didn't happen.
Makes it worse.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
So, that's really disappointing and embarrassing as a Canadian, for sure.
So Hockey Canada put out a statement too. I'm not even going to read that because it's just basically the same thing, saying that they respect the team. But
I say good on the Russians, or good on that Russian captain for noticing,
100%,
bring it up, and having the cojones,
yes,
to not shake his hand.
This is a Canadian player. This is the captain of the Canadian team. He gets no love from me in this situation.
Yeah.
Should have known better.
Disappointing.
Like, yeah, you're a kid, and if you're going to apologize for what you did wrong. Don't try to apologize and then put a spin on it to try to lessen the effect.
Yeah.
Because I don't think if he came out and said, you know, my emotions got to the best of me, we got our butts whooped, I was just angry, I didn't take it off, I should, you know. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, well I don't think this makes it better than saying that.
If he hadn't apologized, we would have forgiven him because he is a young kid, and because he can't control his emotions as well as he can. And like, this isn't new. Elias Anderson a couple of years ago, in the same situation in a World Junior game, did something that was considered disrespectful. And so even if, like, I assume the players would have been spoken to from that year, from the following year on, like, hey, let's not have something like the Elias Anderson thing happen to this team. When the medal ceremony is going down,
100%.
You do what you're supposed to do and whatever. So that garbage.
There's no way that these kids go into this completely blank. They're definitely given a crash course PR on conduct and stuff like that.
That's PR garbage right there.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you make a mistake, own the mistake. Hockey Canada, let the kid own the mistake. He's just a kid.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. Apologize and move on.
That's right.
And I'm sure that the Russians, if they see an apology, I mean, it's hockey at the end of the day. They'll probably they might not respect him, but they might accept the apology.
So now that this out, what happens if Canada meets Russia coming up in a future game? There's a target on his back, I'd say. You disrespected our country.
There should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I can't blame them for it.
Nope.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel quite embarrassed.
That's why I include that, because I didn't like that. I don't like spins. Like, I don't know if it's just the age we're in.
Yeah.
But what's wrong with admitting a mistake and owning the mistake? Like, why do you got to be like, oh, well, I was looking out for my teammates and trying to regroup and figuring out how? Like, that's like, yeah, you're the captain of the team, but you're a kid. It's Dale Hunter's job to find out where the team goes next. It's not your job, especially during the anthem when you just lost the game. Like, yeah, if you're gonna be mad and leave your helmet on, that's fine. Whatever. I don't like it, but apologize for that. Don't put the spin on it.
They tried to put a spin on it where it made him look positive in a way, like he was concerned about the next game stuff, which definitely could be true. I mean, maybe he is thinking about the next game, and sure as all the other players are.
No way that's the only thing that was in his head.
That's the problem. They made it into something that's
like, I was so zoned out to the
fictional.
Like, there's no one's like that.
Yeah, that is disappointing, but yeah. I mean, that's karma right there. If Russia ends up playing Canada again, or who knows, or if Canada doesn't do well in the rest of this tournament, you could say that was the moment that kind of changed things. Obviously, it probably is not going to be, but I like karma, so yeah. Because Canada didn't do well last year.
No.
And if they don't do well this year,
I blame him, but I don't just blame him, because that statement went through Hockey Canada and they added and tweaked it. And
I blame Hockey Canada more than I blame him.
Let the kid be a kid.
He's
let
a
him
kid.
apologize for wrongdoing. Let him own it and move on.
I agree.
There's not enough of that anymore.
Heck yeah. Owned.
So anyway, I think we're good talking on that. I want to talk real quickly about the NBC Power Rankings of the decade. Did you see this list?
No, I did see the Forbes list of best fan bases. I made a video on that on the second channel.
I have a different Forbes list later that we'll talk about after. But
so this is the NBC.
This is NBC Sports released the top 20 players of the decade. It's the last 10 seasons.
I see something that pisses me off already.
That's why I put this on here. So we have the list of 20 people.
Okay.
So 1 to 5 is considered the elites. 6 to 10 is considered the secondary elites, and they considered 11 to 20 just the best of the rest. So that's kind of how, I didn't put that on the sheet, but that's how they categorize it.
Okay.
So I also include games played. That's what the little numbers are, just so you could kind of see. And they said in the article that you needed to have 7 years of service in the decade to be considered, but they do have Connor McDavid on there.
What?
So we'll get to that. So on if you look on the back pages, I have some stats here on the top of page 4, just to have stats leads so we can talk about that. But right off the bat, what do you not like about this list?
Okay, here's what I'm saying.
Why don't you read the list to the people who are listening first?
Number 1, Sidney Crosby. 100% agree with that.
I do too.
Pick. Number 2, Alexander Ovechkin. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Number 3, Erik Karlsson.
Now, Erik Karlsson was pretty dominant for a few years.
But number 3?
There was a couple years, maybe 2, maybe 3, where some analysts were saying he was the best player in the league. There is no way Erik Karlsson's number 3 best player of the decade.
If you want to put him in top 20, fine.
I would say he's definitely in the top 20 because he was dominant when he was dominant. But the last couple years he hasn't been that great, and he's always been a defensive liability. So he's an offensive defenseman.
You're going to put Patrick Kane at 15?
Okay,
we're going to
get to Patrick. No, we're going to get to Patrick Kane. That's the one I want to talk about. But just give him the list.
Number 4, Patrice Bergeron.
Now I love Patrice Bergeron. I don't think he's the 4th best player of the decade.
I don't either, but I would 100% have him in my top 20.
100%.
Number 5, Connor McDavid. Disagree with.
I disagree with the decade, but I have a stat here, and this is what makes me coming around. So, in terms of points per games played of the decade, Connor McDavid is number 1 with 1.326.
Okay.
Sidney Crosby is number 2 with 1.234, and Evgeny Malkin is 3rd with 1.152. Mm-hmm. So basically, when Connor McDavid came into the league 4 or 5 years ago, he came in 2015, I believe. He has led in points per games played. So for those 5 years, he's been the most dominant player in terms of points.
Well, what about Leon Draisaitl?
He's not even in the top 5.
Is he in this list at all?
No.
Because why?
I assume it's stats, but I don't know.
Because his points per game must be
I don't know.
Up there pretty high.
I wanted to have a whole list, but to have so many lists of the different stats, it would have been a million pieces of paper, so I didn't. But he was not in the top 10, I don't
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be there. It's just
but he's his wingman, and he seems like he's doing quite well, too.
If you're going to let Connor McDavid in there, then you better make room for Leon Draisaitl as well. But anyways, number 6, Evgeny Malkin. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that, too.
Number 7, Henrik Lundqvist.
He was the king for quite a few years.
I mean, if you look at the last 3 years, there's really not much in the last part of this decade that he's done.
But what about the first 6 years of the decade?
You could convince me easily to have him in my top 20, not in my top 10.
Would you say he's the best goalie of the decade?
No.
Okay.
Number 8, Anze Kopitar. I'm okay with having him in the top 20. Very underrated, doesn't get a lot of press, so good that the analysts have him on here. Number 9, Steven Stamkos. I would say, yeah. I mean, he spent a lot of time injured, but I'm okay with Stamkos.
Yes, he's only at 617 games played, where there's other people on this list that are like Anze Kopitar 725.
Yeah.
I do have a stat. Steven Stamkos has the second most goals of the decade.
Yes.
At 332.
That does not surprise me.
Which is still significantly less than Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah.
He has 412 at the time of this podcast. So almost 100 more than the second place person of the decade.
Number 10, Zdeno Chara.
This really surprised me.
I'm really disappointed with this one. I'm
going to read the blog, the little paragraph they wrote about Zdeno Chara and why they chose him.
Okay.
And tell me if this sells you on it, because it doesn't sell me on it. It says, when Chara and Bergeron are together on the ice together, combined with whichever franchise goalie they had in the net at the time, Tim Thomas or Tuukka Rask, there was not a tougher team in the league to score against. And that is the reasoning they put him at number 10.
I disagree with that. I don't.
Like, I'll freely admit I hate on Chara a little more than I probably should, because I just find he's so slow.
He has a lot of flaws. He's slow.
He does make a lot of good plays because his stick is so long. But
the girth.
Yes, the length. But I don't know. For top 10?
Top 10? Get out of here.
I'm not sold on a top 10.
Number 11, Victor Hedman. You could convince me top 20. I probably wouldn't put him up quite at 11, though. Mm-hmm. Maybe high teens. Mm-hmm. Number 12, Duncan Keith.
I think I'm okay with Duncan Keith being there. Duncan Keith was pretty dominant when
obviously
they were on their cup runs.
Declined recently, but
and that's what we have to remember when we're reading this list. We're not looking at the last year or 2 years. We're looking at the entire decade, which was 10 years ago.
And if that's the case, then why is Connor McDavid on this list?
Because
we're not looking at the past couple of years.
Because for 5 years, he was the most dominant points earner in the league.
Number 13, Nicholas Backstrom. I would put Nicholas Backstrom higher on this list.
I thought so too. I would put Nicholas Backstrom above Zdeno Chara.
I would put Nicholas Backstrom at the same level as Evgeny Malkin.
That's probably fair. I think
there is no way that Hendrik Lundqvist is better than Nicholas Backstrom.
He lives in the shadow of Ovi.
He does,
his
unfortunately.
Biggest flaw. That's his biggest flaw, and that's not a flaw on him.
That's not a flaw. That's a pro.
But it is.
Yes, I agree.
I'm with you there, 100%.
Number 14, Jonathan Toews. Yeah. I mean, obviously, again, decline like Keith, but without Jonathan Toews, that team does not win the cup.
Yeah,
those 3 years.
I'm with you.
So I'm fine with that. Patrick Kane should 100% be above.
Okay, Patrick Kane is ranked 15th. This is an absolute disgrace. Remember when we had our last podcast? We were talking about whether we put him in our top whatever.
He's top three.
Yeah. So, for points, he's number one in the decade with 755 points, and Crosby's behind him with 727.
You're going to put him 15th?
He's 15th.
Unacceptable. Sorry, go ahead.
See, I'm going to read this to you.
Yeah.
This is their paragraph. It's literally a sentence.
Okay.
This is why Patrick Kane is ranked 15th on their list. One of the best offensive players this decade. Agree?
I agree.
Agree. His problems off the ice will always detract from that and be part of his story. What?
Okay, hold on. Best players of the decade does not mean best people of the decade.
100%.
Like,
and his off-ice troubles, if you want to get into that, remember he was going to be on the cover with Jonathan Toews of one of that EA game, and they removed him because of that woman who had the allegations against him. Those allegations were dropped.
Right. Exactly. And
he was not found guilty of that.
Didn't Erik Karlsson's wife have some drama with another wife on the team?
Yes, but it wasn't his wife. It was the other person's wife, and they traded the other player.
But still, just saying.
So, basically, someone tried to come at him with legal action, and it looked bad for him. Like, I'm not going to lie.
It did.
But it was dropped, and he was not found guilty.
Yeah.
So, this NBC Sports is putting a guilty tag on him for problems off the ice. When the list is the top 10 or top 20 players of the decade.
Regardless if you believe if Patrick Kane did anything wrong or not, it has nothing to do with best players of the decade.
That's right.
So to be objective, he's got to be top 5.
He's above Erik Karlsson, 100%.
Absolutely. This list is making me angry. Number 16, Brad Marchand.
I'm actually okay with this.
I'm not.
I am.
He needs to be higher.
I agree with you on that.
16 is way too low. Very underrated. Obviously, temper. I don't like Brad Marchand at all as a person, but as a player, so underrated. So skilled, talented.
I want to read you some more stats here. So these are more stats from the decade.
Okay.
So last 10 years. I'm going to read you plus minus. You ready for this?
Yep.
Plus minus leader, Brad Marchand, number 1, plus 219.
For the decade.
For the decade. So in the last 10 years, he's plus 219. That's amazing.
That is amazing, but I am assuming that Patrice Bergeron is
number 2, Patrice Bergeron.
Exactly.
Plus 200. Number 3, Zdeno Chara, plus 198.
Yeah.
And then we start dropping to number 4 is Ryan McDonough at 181. Number 5 is Jonathan Toews, but it's all the way down to 143.
Significant.
So there is like a 70, 80 point gap between the 5th place person and Brad Marchand.
Not everything is about plus minus, but that's worth mentioning for sure.
And he plays like Brad Marchand and Bergeron both are power play people, but they're also penalty kill people.
Yes.
Which,
especially
generally
Bergeron.
speaking, brings your plus minus down because you're out there at a disadvantage.
Exactly.
And these two guys are leading in the past decade.
Yeah, and if you think about defensive zone draws, I mean, you're putting Bergeron out there for some of those, or not some of those, probably most of them.
Most of them.
So he's being put in negative. Mm-hmm. I don't have the words, but a negative situation.
Yep.
That he has to try. Like, it's not like he's trying to win a face-off. Put him on the ice in the offensive zone.
Yeah.
Like, if he doesn't win,
he's at a disadvantage.
Not a big deal. If he loses a draw on the defensive end,
yeah, couldn't have been the net.
Exactly. So
like it's a
that's
high,
impressive.
It's a high, yeah. So anyway, I'm with you. I would put him a little bit higher.
All
I'm
right.
glad he's on the list though.
I am too. Number 17, Drew Doughty.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that as well. He has his moments of questionability, if that's a word. But number 18, Claude Giroux. Surprised he is this low on this list.
Claude Giroux is number 1 in assists in the decade with 491.
Do you know his face-off percentage?
I don't.
I would say that it is
pretty good.
Up there, if not first.
Mm-hmm.
Very underrated for sure. Number 19, Carey Price. I'm okay with him being in the top 20. I'm okay with him being 19. I think he's overrated, but I think he was very, very good. He's made Canadian team, like the Canadians team, a very bad Canadians team on multiple years, look very good. He was the most hyped goalie of the decade, I would say, for sure. Like, absolutely. When you were listening to analysts talk, they'd always reference Carey Price. Like, well, if you have a Carey Price like that, you always have a chance every night. And exactly, yeah. So there was a lot of that for a few years, so I'm okay with that too. Number 20, PK Subban. He won the Norris. He did win the Norris, but I don't know. Okay, hold on, wait. Is he being plugged in here because of his off-ice pluses? No. Because I could understand that. In terms of the hospital and stuff like that? Yeah, if that, and just his personality in general. Like, if this is the rules they're using, then... So they have PK Subban. He says this is the write-up. He appears to be well into decline right now with the Devils, but for the first 7 or 8 years of the decade, he was one of the league's must-see players. I agree with that. Yes. One of the interesting things about this list is that PK Subban and who was the other one? There was one other player. Every other player except for PK Subban and one of these other players, maybe it was Carlson, they've all been on the same team for the whole decade. Only 2 of these people have switched teams. Oh, so Crosby has, Ovechkin has, Carlson has not, Bergeron has, McDavid has, Malkin has, Lundqvist has, Kopitar has, Stamkos has, Chara has, Hedman has, Keith has, Backstrom has, Taves had, Kane, yes, Marchand, yes, Doughty, yes, Giroux, yes, Price, yes, Subban, no. Yeah, so of the top 20 in their list, only 2 of them have actually switched teams, which is interesting. That is actually very interesting. So, I mean, it's good for those teams that have those players locked up. But yeah, I don't know if it means anything. Yeah, it's just an interesting stat. So, anyway, the main beef I had that list was Patrick Kane 15, and I'm glad we talked about it. That's unacceptable. Yeah. Zdeno Chara is not better than Patrick Kane. Like, no. Come on. Give your head a shake. Yeah, no. You can't argue with that. Anyways, getting heated. All right, so I'm going to keep with this theme of lists, just because I know you like lists. Oh, man, I love lists. So, a Forbes list. They have the highest paid players of the year, and this is the cash they were paid out in their salary. So you know how you can sign like a $10 million deal, but this year you're getting 15, and next year you get 7. So this is the amount of cash players are earning this year. Okay, and it's top to most. So Connor McDavid is the most. He's making 14 on his contract, but he also makes 4.5 in endorsements. Oh, so this is salary plus. Yeah, so the first number is the salary, the second number is the endorsements, and then I have in brackets who some of the people are that endorse them. Where'd you find this? This was on Forbes. Oh, really? He has a huge deal with CCM, apparently. I mean... I don't think I've ever seen a Connor McDavid ad. Have you? Not a CCM I have, but not recently. I mean, I'm skipping ahead here and looking at Sidney Crosby's, but Reebok with Sidney Crosby was huge back in the day when he first joined the league. Yep. And... yeah, 4.5 is. So the biggest player with the most endorsements is Ovechkin. He's making $5 million in cash this year from endorsements. So Nike, Bauer, Papa John's, Upper Deck, Fanatics. There's a company in Russia that I didn't write down because I just ran out of space that signed him to like a $1 million endorsement deal, which I think is the biggest endorsement deal a Russian company's ever given out. What are you laughing at? Mitch Marner, Nike, True Hockey, Warrior. Beats by Dre. Beats by Dre and Red Bull. See, Austin Matthew made about $2.3 million. He was the cover star for NHL 20 for EA Sports. And he also had that shot on iPhone campaign with Mitch Marner. He makes money from being on the cover? Apparently you make money. And this also includes jersey sales, the second number. Okay. And I believe Austin Matthews had the 3rd most jersey sales. I should have wrote that down, but I didn't. So Connor McDavid, number 1, $18.5 million. Number 2 is Austin Matthews with 18.2.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say 18.2?
18.2 million.
McDavid 18.5. Matthews 18.2 million. Mitch Marner in third with 18 million. Tavares in fourth with 17.6 million.
So second, third, and fourth are Toronto.
Man, this is amazing. Yeah, you're right. But Tavares, CCM, Casper Mattresses.
Yeah, Tavares is a sponsor for Casper Mattresses.
That's incredible. Sport Check and Hyper Ice. Never heard of them.
No.
Number 5, Carey Price.
So almost all of this is his contract. He's making 15 million in cash this year from his contract. And then he has a $500,000 coming from CCM, Nike, and Under Armour.
That's not much.
Nope.
For Carey Price.
I mean,
you'd think
he's not desirable anymore.
I
right?
guess, yeah. That's a slap in the face. Ovechkin, number 6. He's making 15 million total. Yeah, like you said earlier, Nike, Bauer, Papa John's, Upper Deck, Fanatics,
and more.
Another one. Eric Carlson is in 7th with 14.9 million.
Yeah, they didn't list his
no endorsements, or they
same
didn't
with,
list them yet.
Panarin, who's number 8. They didn't list his either.
Yep, Panarin 14.25. Tyler Seguin at 14 million, and that includes his own brand, TS branded hats.
Yep,
which is kind of cool.
Yep.
Sidney Crosby, number 10. That actually surprises me that he's that low, 13.5 million.
It's because his cash is only $9 million from his contract.
Wait a minute, Reebok is no longer sponsoring.
I don't know. It was not listed on the Forbes site.
Interesting. I wonder how much Tim Hortons is paying.
And I mean, if Adidas is sponsoring him, doesn't that mean that Reebok couldn't? Like, wouldn't there be a conflict
the same
there?
company. Adidas owns Reebok now.
Oh, well, maybe they just kind of moved him over. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe since they did that, since Adidas now has the NHL jerseys.
So, these are the top 10 most earners in the league. So, altogether, they're making $159 million in cash,
which is less than one baseball player.
It's 10% up from last year. So, 22 million of all that is off ice endorsements.
Yeah.
So, you're making about 160 million, and 22 of it is from outside of the game cash. So, in other sports,
I didn't realize you had this in here before I said that.
Oh, I thought you were reading it.
No.
I actually have it. So in the NBA, the top 10 players make $600 million. So obviously that's significantly more than hockey, which is 159.
If you added up every single NHL player salary, would it come to $600 million? What's the cap now? 81, 83?
80 something, which is 50% of revenues.
That times 31, what's that?
Well, it'll be more than that, I would think, because there's...
I don't know what it is. It looks like 83.
And that's assuming that every team is at the cap.
Which they're not.
So just put 78 just for giggles.
2.57 billion.
Okay, so yeah, way more.
But still.
Yeah. So soccer, like there's all those different soccer leagues. They're at 555 million for the top 10. NFL is 376 million, and MLB baseball is 315. So NHL is quite a bit behind.
Yeah.
But that makes sense in terms of viewer numbers. And
absolutely.
and stuff like that too. So just interesting stuff there.
Did you know that Fanatics has the contract? Well, you probably know that Fanatics has a contract with the NHL.
Yes.
Do you know how long that contract is when they signed it?
Assuming you're not going to like what you're about to tell me.
16 years.
Wow.
So we've had 3 years of it, I think, so far. So we still have 13 years left of poop.
Yeah, I was going to say Garbago.
Yeah, poop, jerseys, and merch.
Yeah.
They have a monopoly. They own... Well, they have Fanatics.com.
Yep.
They bought Lids.
Yep.
So now all the inventory is
which
the same
you
as
have
Fanatics.
ranted about before.
Yes. Fansedge.com. The NHL shop.
It's a Fanatics experience.
They literally have a monopoly. There's not in like the Outsiders.
Yeah.
Dick's Sporting Goods, Ice Jerseys, Cool Hockey, Sport Check, straight from the Adidas site. That's it. I think there's probably another one I'm missing, but
wow.
And anyone who's selling on eBay. But
yeah,
I mean they own half the market. It's ridiculous. Anyway. Next.
Okay. Alex Ovechkin skipping the All-Star game.
Is he really?
Again. So
what's his reason?
He wants to rest and prepare for the second half of the season. And I have on here, I think this is just a slap in the face to the league saying, hey, I want to go to the Olympics. I've been the most vocal player in the league saying that I want to play for my country. This is the second time I'm going to basically be denied that opportunity. So now he's 0 for 2 in the last 2 years to go to the All-Star game.
Here's what I'm saying. Mad respect.
Yeah, I like it.
Super mad respect.
Well,
yeah.
What happened if all the players did that?
That would be amazing. Think about it. if all the players refuse to go to the All-Star game, that's such a slap in the face to Gary Bettman.
Like, what would they do? Because
everyone.
the penalty for, and some people were laughing online. They were saying like all the Canadiens fans, like Montreal Canadiens fans, were voting for Ovechkin because they knew that he wouldn't go. So the first game coming out of the All-Star break, they play Montreal. So now Alex Ovechkin's not going to be in the Montreal game.
That's pro.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if every player, in theory, if every player didn't go, they suspend every player for one game. All the games don't happen. Sorry, ticket buyers, but we suspended all the players. Like, obviously they couldn't
there would
do that.
Yeah, there would be a major.
I wonder what they would do, because they can't just think of something, because there's a contract.
I don't know what they would do.
If the penalty in the contract is you miss a game, what do you do when every player decides, hey, we're not going?
Even half. Let's just say half of the players voted in, refused to go.
Let's say everyone on the list we just read all said no.
The 20.
So there's still star players, but a lot of those main star players aren't there. So
that's not an
no
All-Star
McDavids, no Crosbys,
no Matthews, Marner.
Yeah. So you'd have some people there, and then you'd have like the B ranked players or like the A minus ranked
which are
players,
still extremely good players.
But the whole point of the All-Star game is to see the best players. It'd be interesting.
I honestly don't know what they would do. It would be like, wasn't there a bunch of players who refused to go to the White House one year?
I don't know.
Was that 2 years ago or?
I don't know. I know in other leagues they have, and
yeah, I just don't know what. I'm not obviously that's a completely different thing for completely different reasons. But, yeah, I don't know. I just noticed we're both wearing Dallas, by the way.
Right on. Shout out to Fro for giving me this hat.
Shout out to T Park because he lives near Dallas.
Shout out to T Park, the #1 Colorado Avalanche fan in the state of Texas. All right, so we'll move on from that. So did you see this? Jeremy Roenick was suspended from NBC Sports.
Heck yeah, I did. This is amazing in a bad way.
I don't know why you would say this.
Well, I think that he would say the same thing to his wife and the girl.
But what does his wife think when he sees her say this?
He's probably said the exact same thing to her face based on what he said.
Okay, so
do you have his quote from the podcast?
I do. So for people that aren't aware, he was on the Spit and Chicklets podcast, and on December 19th, and on it he described a summer vacation he took in Portugal with his wife, and then Catherine Tappan, who works for NBC as well.
Yep.
She's like a blonde hair woman. I'm sure you've seen her if you've watched NBC Sports. So he said he was at a hotel, and one of the guests approached him and asked if the three of them were together. And when I say together, I mean together.
Right.
And then he said, his quote was, "I play it off like we're all going to bed together every night, the three of us." He says, "If it really came to fruition, that would be really good. But it's never going to happen." So basically, he goes on a podcast and says he wants to have a threesome with his wife and one of his colleagues.
Yes, but did you read the rest of his quotes from that podcast?
He also talked about Patrick Sharp. Is that what you're talking about?
No. He said, "My wife and Tappan are close friends. They scream and yell at me, but listen, it's worth the yelling. There's no question." Roenick went on to praise Tappan by saying, "One of the most professional sports personalities that I know. She is as prepared as anyone. She wants people to respect her for knowledge of sports, not just because she's a pretty face. She is true blue, one of my favorite people in the world, and I'm lucky that I'm next to her, and she's a good friend of mine." To me, his quote is, and because he said, They yell and scream at me which insinuates to me he said silly stuff like this to them.
So, from what I read, like you and I will have conversations that we can't have on here, obviously.
Yes, of course.
So, she may be totally fine with that.
Yes.
Outside of the cameras.
Right.
And she even came out and said that on Twitter, but publicly, she's like, "I can't condone that. That's not appropriate."
Right. Of course.
But then, so getting back to his quote, he had Patrick Sharp. He was talking about Patrick Sharp, and he said,
that part was weird.
"He is so beautiful. I'd have to think about it if he asked me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no right away."
No, they know each other, so that's kind of a funny little.
But it's still a weird thing to say.
It is, but I mean, are we this offended in this world today that
we are totally
it's ridiculous?
Think of how many things we've talked about in the last 8 weeks.
It's a good thing that I don't have an actual professional sports analyst job somewhere for Sport Check, whatever, because I'm thinking back on videos that I've done.
It's a good thing you don't live stream.
Yeah. But you remember some of the logo videos when there's like a big rooster on there?
Yep.
And I said,
Looks like a big rooster.
Looks like a bunch of cocks coming in. Like, can you imagine? Like, obviously that's just something funny, but some noob out there will look at that and be like, well, he can't say that. Fired. Like, that's the world we live in. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I disagree. Have a sense of humor. Stop being so soft.
But do you think telling the world you want to have a threesome with your wife?
Not smart.
Yes, that's pretty stupid.
Not smart.
Like, there's other things you can say.
Yeah.
Don't say you want to have a freaking threesome. That's just, I don't get it. I don't know. That's just, like, dude's bold. He's very confident in himself, clearly.
Heck yeah. Good on him.
Yeah, but
probably conversation that...
Spittin' Chicklets is kind of a famous podcast now. I wouldn't, I'd be careful what you say on there.
Exactly.
I want to talk real quickly about a quote Mika Zibanejad had this week.
All right.
Talking about hard work versus numbers. So hard work versus stats. So he's basically saying, I'll give you his quote in a minute, but he's basically saying that a lot of times a player can work his ass off and make a play happen, but he doesn't get a point for it.
Yes.
But some guy who's basically doing nothing and cherry picking can get 2 assists, and it looks like he had a better game.
Yes.
So here's his quote. He says, in Sweden, everything was about how hard you worked, playing every game like you were going into battle. In the NHL, everyone just looks at the numbers. You can play like beep, but easily get away with it if you get 2 assists.
Mm-hmm.
So there are advanced stats that I'm aware of that show hard work as a number, but for the regular fan or just the casual hockey fan, they don't know about those stats, and they're not easily accessible online. These are generally like internal team stats. So, like, I don't think the teams look at this and say, we think this guy who got 2 points and did nothing else the rest of the game did better than you. But I think in terms of the perception of the public, that is probably true, because
absolutely
a lot of the main stats, which a lot of them are kind of irrelevant in a way, because they're situational, or you need to have more information that's just available in a casual stat, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's power play specialists too.
Yeah,
Johnny Gaudreau, not to pick on Johnny hockey here, but he gives the puck away a lot, but he also puts the puck in the net a lot and gets a lot of points. Mm-hmm. He's definitely not the hardest worker on that team.
Like, I know a lot of the people in Toronto have been kind of picking on Matthews. Well, not as recently, but like a few weeks ago, they were saying he wasn't really back checking hard and working hard, but he was still getting the odd goal or goal or two a game.
Same with Ovechkin.
So they're just saying he's not playing, both ends of the ice as hard as he could be, but he's still putting up numbers. So other fans are saying, well, he's still getting 2 goals a game. What more do you want from him? It's like, well, I want him to back check when, it's a 2-on-1 and he could easily skate a little bit harder. So I think that happens for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And there's it's hard for the average hockey fan. I mean, I'm just going to pick on Montreal here a little bit because I watch them the most, but I know who the hard workers are in Montreal. I know that Brendan Gallagher, even though he gets a decent amount of points, he's the hardest worker on the team. He's always going. You can probably know that from watching Montreal Canadiens games. He's all over the place. Yeah. He's feisty. Another player is Arturi Lehkonen. Doesn't get a lot of points, but man, he does a lot of hardworking stuff away from the puck. He creates a lot, and he's good defensively. So, but he'll never get praise. So I agree with Mika Zibanejad's.
And it's kind of like defensemen too. Like, a lot of times when we look at defensemen, we look at how their offensive production.
Absolutely. It's hard to quantify defense and quantify hardworking. Like, how do you do that? Well, yeah, we might be able to soon. With
there's advanced stats that we don't have access to. But I don't know. Hockey's not really an advanced stats. I think advanced stats can tell you how someone did in a game, but I don't think you can use them to predict how well people are going forward. It's not like baseball where you're analyzing every pitch and
Moneyball.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite there, but I do think advanced stats do tell a lot of the story that the main stats don't.
I think advanced stats are crucial for fantasy.
Brian Burke had an advanced stats in Calgary that calculated when goalies went out to play the puck, how many less checks their defensemen took from the forwards coming in, which reduced injuries. That was a stat they tracked. Like, they said, based on how many pucks that the goalie played this half year, that was 185 body checks their defensemen did not have to take.
So they have that advanced stat to create predictive situations or non-situations.
Yes, they have. Most teams have a department or a few people that calculate what the team determines to be important internal stats that we don't even know exist. Like there's some people that are listening to this that I know are up, like people on the Discord that they're very up to date with advanced stats.
Yes.
So a lot of the stuff they would understand, but I think there's stuff that even the public doesn't have access to, that there's teams that are tracking. Like,
oh, absolutely.
They're literally tracking everything. Like, who would think like to track the reduction in hits based on goalies playing the puck behind the net?
Absolutely. There's probably, we're going to get advanced stats of how many milliliters of water a goalie drinks during a game.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to get ridiculous.
Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about that because he was pretty heated about it, because he likes to consider him as like, I think that's good that he came out and said that.
And he's a hard worker,
yeah,
so he's allowed to say that.
He's a very hard worker.
Yeah.
He's a good player. All right, did you see my topic number 8? So in Toronto, there was a double shooting. So this cop goes to the scene of a double shooting. So 2 people have been shot. And Global News, who's a news company here in Canada, it's like Fox News or something, but it's a smaller version of that. They had their camera crews out recording it, and they look inside the cruiser, and the cop inside the cruiser is watching Hockey Night in Canada on his laptop while everyone outside is dealing with a double homicide. And his cruiser had supervisor written on it. So he's the boss. He's the guy in charge. He shows up to the scene.
Now this is not...
These people are not... They didn't die. They were sent to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. But they were shot. It was a double shooting.
Yeah, this is not a laughing matter, even though I have a smile on my face.
But shouldn't you know better if you are the supervisor to show up at a double shooting scene to be like, hey, they got it. I'm going to flick the game on and sit in your freaking thing by yourself while everything else is going around. Like, people are being interviewed. You got news cameras everywhere, and you're sitting in your cruiser watching hockey.
Was it just a regular season game?
It was just Hockey Night in Canada.
Here's what I'm saying. I am guilty of watching hockey at work in my past. I have not done it probably in about 3 years, but I have done it in the past. But my jobs in the past have been extremely insignificant in the...
Compared to going to a double shooting scene.
Yeah, my previous jobs have no impact on the well-being of a human being. So I would say not smart by him.
That's almost like a fire department showing up to try to save your house, and 4 of them are working on it, and the 5th guy's just sitting in the thing watching hockey.
Yeah, playing Tetris on his Game Boy. Like,
and
come on.
Like the worst part was he had the supervisor on his thing. Like, he's literally the guy in charge, and he's sitting in his car watching hockey.
Now,
which is like the most Canadian story I think I've ever heard in my life, but still.
It is. So, not that I'm trying to defend the cop, because regardless, you shouldn't do that, but what if he needed to stay in the car to wait for a call to come over the radio? And yet, instead of just sitting there and waiting for the call to come, he decided to watch a little hockey while he waited for the call.
I still don't think you can do that.
I agree. But still, yeah.
Like, he's the boss. I guess he can do what he wants, but...
That's amazing.
Global sent a request for comment to the station, and they came back and said that they're going to deal with it. So,
oops. All right, what's next?
And that's pretty much all I have for topics. The only other thing I had was just to close out was just maybe you could talk about the year, the decade, and then maybe kind of what you want to do going forward, or what you hope you'll do going forward, or because I mean this is an end of the year, end of the decade.
You're putting a lot of pressure on me right now.
This is, and you weren't prepared for this.
I was not prepared. Yeah, I mean, looking back at the decade.
So are we 3 years in or 2 years in? It was 2017. So is that
January 2017?
So is that 2 years or 3 years?
2018, 2019, 2020. This will be 3 years.
Yeah.
Post2Post's 3rd birthday, but we're on the 4th season.
Yes.
Of NHL coverage. If that makes sense.
Yep. So
because I started halfway through.
So it's been a little while now.
I mean, 3 years is a long time.
You're right.
3 years is a long time. The first year, the goal was 500 subscribers and 365 videos in 365 days. I think it ended up being like 22,000 or something in subscribers in that year, and 421 videos. So smashed the first year for sure. Second year was, I think it got up to 38,000. And this year was pretty tough for the channel and for me. It's when we were only at like 40. I don't even know what it is anymore. I don't even look. It's like 44,000 or something. But I'm actually going to... It's funny that you brought this up, because I'm going to make a video on the second channel, which is named More Post2Post at the moment, titled Why 2019 Sucked for Me. So I don't want to release too much information in this podcast because I hope you guys go over and watch that in the next couple of days. I'm going to release it on the first day of 2020.
Have you already done it?
No, I haven't done it.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that in all of 2019 was bad for me. There was a lot of really amazing things that happened to me in 2019 that were pretty great. But there were a lot of really bad things that happened to me this year too. It's probably one of the worst years of my life, unfortunately. So
breaking bones.
Breaking bones, and I'm gonna get more in depth into my personal life than I've ever done before in the past 3 years on YouTube. So I hope you guys can check that out and learn a little bit more about me, even though most of it's embarrassing. But I feel like it's time to maybe share a little bit with you guys. So I'll be doing that. But as far as the channel goes, I'm not disappointed how many subscribers I have compared to other people or whatever. And now it's transitioned to, the channel kind of started out with just me, and then Justin joined for some videos, and then he kind of started his own thing. And then I guess around the same time we started the podcast, and you kind of came on, and then I moved away, and then it kind of went back to myself for a little bit, and then Dad came on. So even though it's technically my channel, I've never really been alone for the most part, which is pretty awesome. There's a lot of other hockey YouTubers who can't say the same thing and do things on their own, and I don't know how they do it because I wouldn't be able to do this on my own. And I'm super grateful that I have people like you and Dad and others and stuff who contribute. So I'm super lucky. I don't consider myself a smart person, but I'm smart enough to know to surround myself with awesome people. So
right.
That works in my advantage big time. So like I said, not really disappointed with the number of subscribers, disappointed that I can't monetize this channel and that I'm being forced to take some of the content and put it onto the second channel. But I kind of wanted to do that in a way anyway, because as much as I like talking about hockey, I have other things to say about other things.
Yeah.
Not that I think that other people care about what I say about other things, but I don't know.
But we know they do, because when the Having a Yaks go out, people enjoy them usually.
Yeah, it's just, and I don't care that if people are interested in me as a person. There's almost something therapeutic about talking about whatever.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would have realized that unless I started a YouTube channel. And I'm not getting all preachy or psychiatrist.
We're getting real deep here, folks.
I'm just saying that, I don't know, there's just something about, like, having a yak. I really enjoy having a yaks. Because
Having a Yak has...
If you don't know what having a yak is, it's the other podcast that we do. It's on the second channel.
It's also through, if you're an audio listener, it's through this same Post2Post channel.
Release,
it's just a different labeled episode.
Yeah, so and if you don't know what it is, we just talk about life, and really we talk about whatever. Answer questions. I ask ridiculous questions to people and they answer.
You're literally having a yak.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever been on having a yak.
No.
Well, we got to change that, but
I don't have all the life lessons that Brent has.
He's got a lot. He does have a lot of life
Brent
lessons.
can bring his life lessons in and talk about anything. I'm pretty boring in retrospect.
No, you're not. But it's videos like that where it's basically a conversation that I would have with whoever's in front of me, regardless if there was a camera on or not. Maybe a little less swearing,
Yes.
but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy everything. I've been doing this for 3 years. Both channels combined, plus the podcast, probably approaching 1,500 videos total. I can genuinely say that I do enjoy doing almost all of it. The only thing that I really don't like doing, and I wouldn't say it makes me unhappy, but I dread it, is research for the podcast, for this podcast.
You didn't do any of this.
It's so time consuming.
It's very time consuming. It took me like 3.5 hours to get this stuff ready yesterday.
Yeah, and
it's not even that much. As you can see, we just zipped through them, but you have to find stuff, and you want to try to be right about what you're talking about, and it's kind of hard too, because you want to find stuff that's interesting to, at least something that's interesting to everybody that will listen to it. Like, maybe they're not interested in everything, but something they'll find interesting.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's I find that I just dread it. I've just done it so much, And you know what? Sometimes I don't care about a Philadelphia versus Kings game, or I don't care about a Minnesota Wild versus Winnipeg game. There's just some games I just don't really feel like watching, and I don't really feel like watching the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to
Mm-hmm.
because I got to talk about it.
Yep.
And that doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes. And so a lot of people talk about burnout.
Oh, burnout's a thing.
Burnout's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk a little bit about that in my Why 2019 Sucked For Me video on the second channel coming up. But it definitely exists. And, I mean, there's definitely times when I'm just like, I don't really feel like filming. And this is the year where I kind of made the decision, well, if I don't really feel like filming, I'm not going to film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to hurt me, but mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a lot of much needed time for myself this year, and probably let some people down watching and stuff, but I have no regrets. I'm more happy at this moment and this point of the year in my life right now than I've been in years. So I have no regrets. So thinking about some of the things I want to do in the future for 2020, and maybe this is something you can help me with because you're pretty smart when it comes to this stuff too, but I'd like to do some photography tutorials.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think you've talked about this before.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but when I'm not here, I'm a photographer, mostly landscape. I like nighttime landscape shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I like anything to do with Milky Way, stars, moon, light painting. That way, it's really, really interesting to me. Time lapses at night I just find super interesting. I think because it's a type of photography that the typical photographer can't. It's not that they can't do it. It's just that it takes so much patience.
Yes.
That most don't. So the fact that I was able to kind of get through the grinder of learning it and having the patience, now it's luckily for me it's just easy at this point. So I was thinking that maybe I could pass along any knowledge that I do have in video form in a tutorial and maybe show you guys how I take pictures at night. And I know there's a lot of people who maybe gotten their first DSLR for Christmas or in the past couple of years, and maybe they find it a bit intimidating. And there's hundreds of thousands of, maybe millions of tutorials on YouTube about photography and maybe even specifically night photography. But if you like me, or if you like what we do here, maybe you'll get to see a video on that you might not have ever seen from anyone else. So if I can provide any information that I do know about a topic, I want to do that. And photography is one of those topics that luckily I do know quite a bit about. So,
and sometimes it puts you in very interesting situations, folks. So
yes,
I'm going to bring up a topic and you're going to remember when I talk. So we were down at the lake. My parents have a lake.
I don't know where this is going.
You'll know in a minute. So they have like a trailer or a camp. They used to rent a place that was on a lake, and then now they have their own property, and we go down there all the time. So one time, Neil and I and another friend of ours, Russell, we took our cameras down to the beach, and we were doing some kind of Milky Way shots with a reflection of the lake in it. So I think we went out to the end of the wharf, didn't we? And were we sitting in someone's boat?
No, we were just on the end of the wharf. We were standing up or sitting.
Yeah. And then, so it's like pitch black, right? Because that's how you need it to be when you want to take night photography. So we're at the very end of the wharf, and we have all our cameras set up on tripods. So we've got like 3 tripods and all these cameras aimed up at this guy. And, you can't really see us. Like, it's dark. But anyway.
We're talking, too. Like, it's very obvious that we are there.
So this guy comes down with his girlfriend, and they're like totally drunk. And we're just like, okay, whatever. But then all of a sudden... Like, at first, I think he had a firework in his hand, didn't he?
Yeah, they lit off some
And he was
fireworks.
going to try to light the firework from his hand. So at first we thought, like, we're going to see this guy, like, blow his hand off.
Yeah.
Which would have been brutal. So anyway, they let those go off, and you could, like I said, you can tell they're just, like, pissed drunk. And then all of a sudden, they're like, hey, let's go for a swim. And the girl starts taking her shirt off. And we're like, oh, okay, this is an awkward situation. And we kept talking. And... we
talked louder so they would know that we were there.
And I don't know if they were just so drunk that they didn't know us, but then they get in the water, and then eventually the girl's like, hey, and we're just like, hey.
What's up?
So that was awkward. So if you're into photography, you could definitely look forward to getting into some situations like that.
See some nips.
Yeah.
Actually, I have that. That was a time lapse.
That was a time
I
lapse.
have that.
Do you have that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's readily available that I can put it into this video, and it's definitely not 4K, so I probably won't put it into this video. But yeah, some situations for sure. So I'd definitely like to do that on the second channel. And I currently live in a pretty cool spot where I can just kind of
30 seconds from me.
Yeah, and walk across the road to a pretty awesome spot for night photography. So I'd like to get back on my feet again, or skates, I guess. I have not skated since I broke my ankle. So I want to make a video of me skating for the first time since I broke my ankle. And I also want to film the video explaining how I broke my ankle, which is probably 8 months overdue. So that needs to happen sometime soon. Probably in the next couple of days, actually, because I have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off.
You were lucky.
Next 3 days. So, yeah. What do you want to see in 2020?
For the podcast, I'd say I'd like to keep working on our set. Get the shelves up if we can. Neil brought 2 totes of decorations, if you want to call it that, to put up. We have a third mic now.
It's
a temporary mic.
It's a very temporary mic.
Justin was on the podcast last week, I believe it was, last weekend.
Yeah,
and we didn't have another mic like this for him to use, and we didn't have one of these, so he had to use a clip-on mic. So at least if we do have a third person, we can give them actually something in front of their face.
Yeah, Rode has created a mic called a pod mic, which is basically this mic but a smaller version of it. So I'm going to wait until it goes on sale and buy a couple. I don't know when that'll be, but...
Yeah. I would like to have, like we've already talked this, I'd like to be able to have people on as guests.
Yep.
So they call in somehow, whether it's a phone or a Discord or Skype or something. It would be an audio version probably, just them calling in and then we have a conversation.
Soundboard?
Yeah, we have a soundboard. We have a metal thing to hold the iPad with, and we've got the cords hooked up, so that's almost ready to go. So that should be pretty quick.
Want to show them that panel?
I made a fake video as a test video, and I showed this panel in it, even though that video will never be published.
Oh, so basically we have some DJ lights, and we're going to run them into this little light panel, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
It's almost like an audio mixer for lights.
Yeah, it's weird. So basically there's going to be colored lights shining down on this table, which will kind of color the table and us a little bit, and then more shining on the background to change the color of the background. There's already a light down here, which you can see if you're watching the video version, lighting the background in red. But those lights can be changed on the fly by Jason off camera there with that slider.
We got sliders and pre-programmed buttons. And
yeah, so if we're talking about the Dallas Stars, he just basically flicks a switch over there and our background turns green. So we just wanted to make it a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interactive.
Yeah.
So that's a change. And you already mentioned the shelves.
Yeah. I would like, if possible, this is a logistical issue, but I would like to do a podcast from the lake.
Yeah, so
with people like skating and playing hockey behind us. I think that'd be cool to take the podcast on a location somewhere.
Possible, 100% possible. Issue is audio quality, but no, it won't be that bad. Wind might be an issue, but so yeah, basically we want to set up a table in the middle of a lake, frozen lake, and do a podcast from the
literally go out on a lake or a pond. It's not like a huge lake. It's just like a
it's like a
we call it a lake, but it's basically like a pond. And there's like just up the road here, there's people that skate and play hockey and stuff like that. And it'd just be cool just to kind of take it on location. Just be a cool, different backdrop.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be something different. I don't know if anyone's even ever done that on YouTube, so it might be a YouTube first hockey podcast in the middle of a lake.
Yeah. But no, and just further changes to the podcast. I think like.
Yeah, just little stuff. I mean, I don't know. I like to do more food stuff. Like
I like food.
I got a bunch of stuff to try. So, like the whole idea. There's a third channel called Canadians Try Stuff. If you're not aware, the idea for that channel was that I would curate that channel or produce it, but I wouldn't actually appear on it.
Shot that idea down. He is now going to be in them.
I don't know about that.
Yes.
I would prefer to just have people on that channel that are not me and subject them to.
I would prefer to not be here, but we don't always get what we want.
What do you mean you prefer not to be
I've
here?
always told you I want to be in the background, not in front of the camera.
Oh, same here.
But I mean, it is how it is.
So I would try the same food on the second channel.
Okay.
but I just like I wanted the third channel to not be me and just something that I produce or we produce or whatever, and just have like new personalities on there. It's just not my face over again or your face, or not there's anything wrong with your face, but
no, there's lots wrong with my face.
Yeah, so I don't know when the next video on that channel is going to release.
Yeah,
hopefully soon, because I know some people in this town. I've met some new people in this town through work, so they might join me, or not join me, but they might make an appearance on that channel.
There's something else I am kind of looking forward to.
All right.
And it's not really related to this channel. It's actually related. Well, it kind of is. It's with Justin and Hands Down Hockey.
Oh, snap.
I'm not going to bring this up. I'm not going to say what it is. But he has a couple ideas for videos.
Yeah.
And both of us think they are freaking amazing ideas. They're not something you can do with just 2 people. It has to be at least 3. Even if we could get more, that'd be great. I don't know if where we are, if we could get more than that.
Well, we're going to do it just him and I.
Just you and him. And then I'll be the judge or whatever.
So
I don't want to get into it, though. We'll save it.
It might not get a lot of views, but it's going to be an enjoyable video to watch.
It's going to be a cool video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I am looking forward to that. It was his idea, and it's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that. It was definitely his idea. That'll be probably coming in a little bit. Another video that's coming is Justin and I are having a nugget eating competition. I am
absolutely looking forward to this, and that will be a good video to watch.
That's coming on the second channel. So we're going to buy a bunch of McNuggets from McDonald's.
Yep.
And whoever can eat the most wins.
Yep.
And I don't know what they win.
We'll figure something out.
I think it was just a gentleman's.
No, I'm gonna put something in.
Yeah. All right. I'm down for that. I tell you what I am super excited for is something that I can't talk about.
Oh, that's
happening awesome. There's a trip happening in June. And I will just say that it's very similar to the trip that I was on in 2018. Yeah, last year. Technically, last year.
That is one thing I can say about this year is we got to meet more people from the channel, like through not, I guess, viewers, really. That's how they found us. They became viewers, and now they're friends. Absolutely, yeah. We got to meet Kale. And shout out to Joey. He said he would come up and join this podcast in the new year. I'm holding you to that, Joey.
You've just said that on a podcast in front of everyone, so now Joey has to.
I'm calling you out publicly. You're just next door in Maine. Like, it's not super close, but 4-hour drive and you're here, I think. So come up for the weekend and join us on the podcast. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I got some hot sauces for you to try on camera.
I don't think anything would faze him.
No, he's a legend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I got. I'm going to the Boston Bruins versus Pittsburgh Penguins game, January 16th. Already have the tickets bought. So if you're going to be there, come say hi. Can't remember what seat I'm in, but I know I'm at literally the last row.
Face. Just look for that face. Just scan the outside top and look for that face.
I will be wearing a Boston jersey.
You're a fake fan.
Man, you got to support the home team.
Yeah, you're going in as a fake fan? It's awesome.
Oh, it's either that or wear a Pittsburgh jersey.
I wouldn't wear a Montreal jersey to a Montreal game. Nope.
My rule is going to always be wear the home team's jersey.
Really?
Yeah.
What if they were playing Montreal?
I'll wear a Montreal jersey.
Okay,
no, I'm just joking. I actually wouldn't wear a Montreal jersey in Boston.
No, I think that'd be suicide.
Yeah. I would in like Tampa or something.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else to say.
Nope. That's it. We're going to a new decade.
Yeah. Thank you once again for everyone who donated to our desk fund here.
The table fund.
We're up to 32 people who donated. So there's only 3 days left, 2 days left.
2 days. So by the time you read this, there could be listen to this, listen or watch. There could be only 1 day left. So
yeah, so we have a donation link down below.
It's almost closed, I would say.
Yeah, anyone who donates in this month gets their name put on a plaque and as a support for this desk. So this desk is, I mean, it wasn't cheap, but
it was a lot cheaper than if we were to buy one.
Yes, and it's cool that you guys contributed, and like this isn't really my desk. This isn't really Jason's desk.
Nope.
It's your desk. Like I've always kind of felt like this channel is your channel. Like if you make a suggestion, I think one of the first videos that we were all in was a suggestion from a fan. React to goal horns.
That was a big video.
That wasn't my idea. I didn't even want to do that video, but I did it because someone suggested it.
The Discord was a suggestion by a guy named Andy.
Yeah.
It wasn't even our idea.
Anyways, I've always kind of done whatever.
Where appropriate.
Whatever idea. I will say one thing. Do you remember Fan Friday?
I do. People love Fan Friday.
Yeah, that's coming back.
Yeah, people will be happy to hear that.
Probably going to start that. What's today? Sunday?
Today's Sunday. Same as every other podcast day.
I don't want to get too bold, but you can probably expect a Fan Friday in 5 days.
That's pretty bold.
So, I don't know if I want to do it every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You have to come up with a schedule that works, like once every 2 or 3 weeks or once a month or something.
Yeah. I shy away
people do
from,
enjoy it.
I shy away from weekly commitments.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in 2 weeks, I ain't going to be here on Friday. So.
Are you going to be here on Sunday?
Late. Probably like 5 o'clock.
Because there ain't going to be no podcast with just this face by himself. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm thinking there's probably not going to be a podcast that weekend. But
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't have anything else to say. So
maybe we can do a Having a Yak and pre-tape it and release it.
Super good
for
idea.
That week.
Super good idea.
So there's something.
Yeah.
We got to keep it rolling.
Really, really good idea.
Okay.
I have nothing else to say.
Neither do I.
Thank you for allowing me to be the host until the end of this decade. And I
did 12. 12 of 94.
I now pass the torch back to you.
Pressure.
From here on out, it's all you.
Pressure.
So, with that said, with that segue, you can end this podcast.
Neil's still going to be here. Like, he's not disappearing. He's just not starting it, I guess.
That's right.
Yep. So if you like this video, click like and subscribe. Is that how you say it?
Sure.
If you're listening on audio, like Spotify or iTunes, I freaking love you guys. You guys are my favorite. I'm not taking any away from the YouTubers.
You might want to listen to episode 100 if you're not a audio listener. Just saying.
Oh, we can't talk about that. Okay. But yeah, the audio version people have a special place in my heart. That's for sure. So I'm going to let you close this out because this is literally the last of the decade. I can't take that from you.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening and watching. I really appreciate it. Over the past few years, it's been, literally Post2Post birthday is on Wednesday. So it's pretty special. So thanks for all your support over the past 3 years. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I love all you guys. All the comments, positive or negative. I mean, yeah, it's cool if you want to argue in the comments. The engagement's cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with good hockey conversation or good hockey debates. So I enjoy it. I'm really appreciative of everyone I've met through this channel, through Patreon or Discord or in the comments or on Twitter, just in general. So many amazing personalities and people out there. So I'm really, really grateful. And I'm excited for the future. So thanks for listening and watching, regardless if you're on YouTube or iTunes or whatever, however you consume our content. You're awesome. So thank you. We will catch you in the next podcast number 95, next weekend.
The next decade.
In the next decade. Adios.